Okay, hi, I'm here with Jon Russell of Warlord Games, and we're at Adepticon.
Hi, Craig. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you, John. Appreciate it.
And I got to say, it's great to see you again. We haven't seen each other. We used to work a long time ago when we had the other company with the same initials as we have.
Same initials, yeah,
but
yeah.
a different way. And it's really great to see you. You're looking fantastic, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's good to see you again after all these years.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is talk to you, John, is about how you got into the Warlord hobby.
Well, like I said earlier, me and Craig were working for the other company. Shh. And then I'm also was in the military at the same time. So I retired from the military, and then I had a civilian job for a while. But John Stollard had always been watching me. And Stollard is the worked for, and we worked for him for a while. Yeah. And now he started a company called Warlord Games. Him and Paul Sawyer were sitting down around the table one day, saying about what we should do with our redundant money. I don't know, what do you want to do? And knock it off. It's like the Jungle Book vultures. If you haven't seen that movie, kids, go back and watch it. Anyway, so they said, hey, look, what did you want to do when you were in Games Workshop? And they said, well, I always want to do Romans. So they pulled their money together, and they did a set of Romans.
Okay.
And the first store to buy it was Brookhurst out in California. And they were kind of going along, and I was doing my thing for Forge World for a while. And then I got out of that. They made me redundant. And I was finishing up my career in the Air Force. And John and Chris Bostock is the CFO for Warlord. They said, hey, John, we can't pay you what the government's paying you, but we would sure love to have you come and be our representative in America. And I said, hang on, I got to ask my wife. And my wife says, like, what are you, stupid? Here's your dream job. So for the last 6 years now, I've been working full time with Warlord. And what I do is I'm the Warlord Games North American representative. So that means I have a small little patch on this earth that I take care of. North America is, you guys up north, Canada, and also down here in the CONUS. California and Alaska and Hawaii and into Mexico.
Okay.
So that's my responsibility. Now, that's a lot to cover because, as well, square mileage wise, England is Kansas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got to cover everything else. So I've got you guys. You saw a bunch of these guys around here wearing these shirts. They're my raiders, and they're hand-selected guys to help me cover. And Dave Verrett is our salesman up in Canada, and we have 2 or 3 raiders up there now to help me up there.
Okay.
So we are slowly, which we'll get to the next question, expanding up into Canada. But that's how I got started in Warlord Games. Oh, and then while I was working for Warlord, I kept on hammering them and they finally wore down. And myself and Steve Smith wrote the Korea rulebook.
Yeah.
So that's my claim to fame.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll catch up with John about the Korean book at a future time, because it is pretty awesome. So what is your role specifically now? What do you do? You got all that responsibility, but what does that mean?
I go to events like Adepticon, which is the Mac Daddy of conventions. It's the only convention that's by gamers, for gamers, and with gamers. There's corporate sponsorship, but there's no corporate involvement in the structure. There's 50 plus volunteers, and they'll start planning 2024's Adepticon this Saturday.
Right.
To give us a little rest. And we have meetings every month about what we do and what's going on. So these guys are all, it's the love of the game.
Yeah.
And it's all the excitement and the fervor of guys who really, and girls who really love this hobby. Yeah. And it's their excitement and their drive. And that's what I love about Adepticon. So I go to conventions. I physically attend about 17 to 18 a year.
Wow.
And then my raiders do about 18 or 19 a year. And then we also influence, like we'll send support or others about 20. So we do about 60 plus conventions a year.
Right.
And we're expanding. And that's including now up in Canada as well.
Okay.
So I'm now liaising with a lot of guys like Dave Verrett's taking care of all of the Canada and some of the lower 48, northern tier.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get more Warlord games played in more areas. So we've started this new structure called the tier program. Okay. So if you email me at jon.russell@warlordgames.com or send it to info@warlordgames.com. That's the thing, Warlord Games or info@warlordgames.com.
Okay.
You send it to us, we'll get the information, and then we'll find out, we'll have you ask 7 questions. It's like, what is it, where is it, how many people? And then when you give us that information, we'll send you a tier set and ask you where to send it and what you want. We're making the TOs, the tournament organizers, and the event organizers, like for narratives, they get to pick their prize support. If you have 8 to 16 people, it's a tier 1, you get $120 of MSRP you pick to send to wherever you want for your event. Please give us 30 days. The second one is a tier 2 that goes 18 to 40, and then 42 to 80 is tier 3.
Okay.
Tier 2 is $240.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tier 3 is $480, and a tier 4 is 82 plus. That's $780 of hand-picked items.
Nice.
And then there's also trophies, the big bullet penetration trophy, and there's also the bigger one for the bigger events. And then we also have a special miniature. This year it's a Koenig, the sniper from Enemy at the Gates.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's our special figure that you can only get at an event. So those are our new tier programs that we're doing. So if you want us to do your event and put it on our events calendar, send it to me, jon.russell@warlordgames.com or info@warlordgames.com.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's great to hear about that. Talking about Canada specifically.
Oh, yes.
How is the community growing in Canada, and what do you kind of see going on?
Well, let's start off that segment by because I'm from up north. I was born and raised in Montana.
Right.
So my Sesame Street had French instead of Spanish. And then when my TV set went off, yes, boys and girls, the TV sets went off back then. It was the Canadian national anthem, and it was American, then it went fuzzy. So I'm very, very familiar with Canada, especially up in Alberta and stuff like that. I love the country. It's great. And there's been such an uptick these last 2 years in events, conventions, tournaments. They've got a great bunch of players who've been sending a bunch of stuff up. The difficult part for me is getting across that funny little line that's not, what's the largest unprotected border in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to figure out how to do that through customs properly. So now what we do is we find a local store. So if you have a local store in your area that you want to have an event like this, or try to be like this, contact me, you know where, rewind and watch, you'll figure out the address. And then also, we'll get in touch with the local store, and then they become our sponsored store.
Okay.
So then what happens is you guys get the product. I'll have some of my raiders show up, or Dave will show up, or I'll try to get across the border, and we'll do an event like this at your hometown. So that's how you can do it. I'll put the challenge out to you. But it is leaps and bounds. There's so many events and conventions popping up all over North America like dandelions that they're going to be fantastic. And it's just, the future is getting brighter and brighter, and we're getting more and more products. This bad boy is now ours, and you're going to see a heck of a lot of stuff coming out for that. So it's very exciting. And if you're interested in stuff going on in Canada, go to our website and check out the events page, or email me, and you know where, or Dave Verrett, and I can get you that address.
That's awesome. It's great to hear. One of the last question I'd like to ask you is going to be on how does the community in Canada support the growth of bolt action and pike and shot and all the other great Warlord games? What can we do?
Great question. Don't be afraid of playing any of our games. All the Warlord Games rule books are the first or second paragraph somewhere. It says, hey, thanks for buying our game. Do what the hell you want. We wanted to design a historical setting that you can have fun with, play with your mates, and be done in 4 hours. Okay? We don't want to play in a Napoleonic game for 3 days and figure out who won it. No. Quick, fast, and simple, and over. Don't be afraid. Jump in. The water's really warm, and it's not bad. You can get a starter set for about $150, and you have everything you need. And then if you want to grow, it's up to you. You can go down that rabbit hole all you want. So it's very good. And the guys that came over from England, we had 2 guys over here, and they absolutely love the excitement and energy that's here. And I've been to a couple events up in Canada. It's the same up thing. And I got to tell you right now, all the rumors or whatever about Timmy Horton coffee is true. It is the best coffee in the world. Trust me, I've tried it. It stopped me dead in my tracks when I was up there for Warzone, the big convention.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I walked out of Timmy Hortons, and I'm like, oh, my God, that's the best coffee I've ever had. So, I mean, literally said out loud. So it's true. So you've got the coffee. I want to come up again. In fact, I've heard a lot of guys have been talking to me about GamesCon, and I've been in contact with some of the guys up there, and I'd love to come up to Calgary. Calgary's a great city. So check out, if you can get over to Calgary, check out the dates. You know how to Google this stuff. Find out when GamesCon is there. Show up over there, and maybe we'll be able to shake your hand and have some Timmy Horton coffee.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks very much, John.
Thanks, Craig. It's great seeing you. We'll look for you down the road. And remember, may your dice be fair and your tables level.
Awesome.
That's my tagline.
Appreciate it.